Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandoned Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Episode number 359 is on deck and happening right now. Much to the chagrin of Facebook, it would appear. Hopefully you can see everything that's streaming out there to Facebook and to YouTube. We've got a very, very busy show today, and we found that we had some new adversity to go up against with some of the stuff that Facebook has thrown at us, but nonetheless we persevere. Casey Smith going to be joining us. We're going to be talking to Josh Turner. We're going to be talking to Parker Lazenby, trying to wrap up some of the stuff from last weekend, trying to wrap up some of the stuff from this weekend. It was a very, very busy Demolition Derby weekend. And there's more stuff forthcoming with Road Rage here locally happening over the weekend. We've got heat draws coming up Friday for Spinning Wheels and Mini Meltdown. Their 2-day shows. Father's Day weekend, as always, is going to be the 19th and the 20th. So that's sitting out there. It's going to be busy around here, and it was busy all over the United States.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Derby season is in full swing. One thing we didn't mention. I didn't see the mass in Ohio, and I kind of liked it. There was none at Bash for Cash, that's for sure.
Go ahead, keep going. I'll take care of that.
That was my thought. It was my thought as we get into, and good Lord, is it hot? I'm ready for winter.
I'm not ready for winter. I'm not going to go that far, but it is warm in here. The third floor of the school built in the 1930s had absorbed a little bit of heat the last couple of days, and the AC units are definitely not keeping up, but I suppose it's fitting that it's hot in here because it was hot all over the United States.
And it's a fallout shelter, so it's keeping us healthy.
It is a fallout shelter. It is. Casey Smith hanging out with us to get us started here. Casey, man, how are you?
Just about recovered from the bash, I think.
Bash was interesting, to say the least, and you had an interesting, you had the opportunity to take a unique perspective. I like what you were doing in the inspection line, doing a little bit of life coaching in addition to getting some of those drivers ready to go, and then you also wanted to hit on some of the happenings with the Smith Metalworks youth class when they took flight at Bash for Cash.
Yeah, first I gotta say thanks to the Smash It crew and Tim Clark for putting that class on the card. I think anybody that was there, we even had some promoters and that were there checking it out, and I think everybody got to see probably one of the best heats of the entire weekend, in my opinion, and several others. So the value in that class, I think, was proven. I was standing there on the wall talking to Brian a little bit. I think he can agree that it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, those kids were definitely patient. They were, they were making good shots. They were definitely doing a nice job, and they had some well-built cars. I didn't. Well, when inspection was going on, Chris and I were kind of out and about and busy doing some stuff, and then I got with Tim. So I didn't get to see the cars going through inspection, but man, I was very impressed when they came out on the track. There was a lot of well-built cars in that class. I would say that the sport of Demolition Derby has got some great up-and-comers coming. I think we're going to be all right for a while.
Yeah, I mean, with the entries that went into Bash, I think in the Northeast in 2 years we got about 100 registered youth full-size drivers. So that was a goal we looked at for a 3-year goal, and we reached it in like 2 seasons. So, and that's all the promoters that have been participating in youth full size programs has helped that out. So, not to mention what maybe other guys are doing across the U.S. with that class, but thank and Smash It for that, and my crew. I had, a great group of people helping us, Frankie Guy, Davey Chapman, Jim Radish, Zach Lease. They were my core guys. James Radish Jr., Fred, and also Chelsea and Michelle. We had a pretty good, well-oiled system for the inspections, and everything we've seen on the cars, everybody done a great job, adhering to the rule platform. So it was something. I mean, those were a stock platform car. So, I don't think we need to add anything. I think they had more than enough to run that hour and 52 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. They, like I said, though, there wasn't a lot of big driving errors. I mean, obviously, with Dad sitting next to you, I did see some coaching, but the kids knew what they were doing. I mean, they were doing a good job and, calm and cool and collected, and it was great to see. I mean, they all did a good job, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, we get an opportunity to talk to the junior drivers as they come through, and and there's a lot of adrenaline in them young people. They're at the bash. I mean, we had kids that were just happy to be there on the track, and we had kids that were all there about business. But at the end of it, I think they all performed well. Looking at the young Cloyer boy, that's a future engine builder right there. He assembled that engine under the supervision of his dad. So, and that car ran to the end. It wasn't the engine that quit on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the future of the sport's, shining throughout all aspects, from drivers, the future builders, you name it. So it's exciting. I'm glad to see it. And, looking on to our next event will be the Iron City Nationals. And anybody that, wants to try this program, that's a great place to fill out an entry and show up. We expect to have a great car count, and it'll be just as competitive as this. And, what I tell kids is don't be afraid to get on that stage, because you got to start somewhere. And all those kids that ran an hour plus at that show gained 5 years of seat experience in that almost 2 hours. There's no replacement for it. So win or lose, there's no replacement for that.
Yeah. And, I getting a chance, touching on running at Bashford, going to the Nationals, that's quickly becoming one of the premier shows in the Northeast. I mean, last year, it came back, and it was a great show. A lot of huge names ran the premier class, and that's another big show for these kids to come and perform on. Beautiful track. I mean, that is one of the best, derby specific tracks around. I love how the tires are on the outside, and it's just, there's bleachers close by. I really like that track. So, these kids are, they're actually miles, ahead of Dad or whoever's helping them, at the moment. 'Cause they're getting to do stuff that the older generation didn't do right off. I mean, there's never been anything like this in Derby where there was, somebody like you stepped up and had a youth program. So, it's a really awesome thing that you've done for them, and it's an awesome experience that they're gaining.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that these kids got a huge jump start. I mean, for their abilities, and and looking at not just the national shows like we do the couple a year, but all the other promoters, Hardcore, Deadman, even Derby Dog, I think's adding some youth stuff. Bash It. Look at your promoters in your area and see if they're adding these classes. And any place to start a youth full size program, we encourage it. We've had some promoters approach us about, hey, can you come to our show? And we just unfortunately don't. We don't really have the ability to commit to that much.
Yeah.
But we're behind anybody who wants to do it and do it the right way, because I think the benefits are huge on both sides of the fence.
For sure.
So the benefits are definitely up there for Demolition Derby. It gets people involved. It gets kids involved. As the Triple E announcer mentioned, it's an opportunity for parents to bond with their kids. We've seen second, third, fourth generation drivers come along the lines. But on the flip side, not everybody out there is a Demolition Derby purist. And while it is a lot of fun to see the skill and the targeted driving and the chess of Demolition Derby, sometimes at the end of the day, it's still fun just to watch checkers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's...
So what... There was some criticism about the kids driving too conservatively, not finishing, things like that. They've got the wherewithal and the quality of build to be closers, to put the show away. Are we teaching the next generation of... I'm trying to word this diplomatically because I'm not trying to be down on anybody. I'm not trying to insult you or anything that's being built. But at the end of the day, all sports are still entertainment, and is 2 hours where we need to be?
Well, you know, in my opinion, there's when you look, you know, we look at an hour and 52-minute window, and we had 2 kids run out of gas. Second place ran out of gas. Fourth place ran out of gas. You know, and what I'll say to that is, and I've had conversations with some of these parents, you know, about driving and. You know, and it come up in conversation because, trust me, the riders in them cars, some of them riders out there had never been in an hour and 52-minute heat. That was
True.
Do you know what I mean?
Pat Osmond.
Well, you know, teaching, you got to remember these kids are developing, and you can armchair quarterback them all day long. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that pace for the first hour was steady.
Right.
All right? I mean, it was a busy pace, all right?
For sure.
And we got to look at the fundamentals. You know, we had 2 rollovers in that class, and thank God the kids listened to what I told them in the driver's meeting about when you see a car on its roof or on its side, you stop and you stop now. And I'll tell you what, they impressed me because the second time they were stopped before the flagmen even got their flags up.
Yep.
So we can't get too far away from the fundamentals of teaching them the awareness. And you know what? When it got into that second hour, I guess, the pace slowed when it was down to 6-7 cars, okay? I mean, you got to remember it's a national title, and I don't endorse sandbagging one iota, okay? And I said that at the driver's meeting, so I know you were kind of dancing around how to say it correctly. I'll just come out and say it. You know, those kids could have closed up the deal on smoking some of their competitors. You know, Clayton Gregg was running around with, you know, a frame rail dropping in front of his right rear wheel, and, you know, a kid could have peeled him and Jack stood him, and, you know, and that could have been over, you know. Jack Jurvenovich, who drove his butt off, you know, with a broken tie rod halfway, you know, I don't know, he drove at least an hour plus with a broken tie rod in. Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you're going to do with that, but, you know, had the kids capitalized on that, I mean, there comes a point on the track where you got to start going after the gazelles and go after them hard. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But you got to remember, these kids are going to learn that. I've had that conversation with some of the parents about, you know, what do you think, you know, they should have done different? And, well, it's just, when you're that close to the goal of winning, they're being reserved not to, they don't want to screw up. You know,
Yeah,
they
right.
got the biggest spotlight on them they ever had.
Yeah.
So they're going to start, you know, however you want to call it, they're going to be reserved. And I think the other thing that every promoter's got to remember, when you put these kids on the track in this kind of class, treat them like adults. So if you got to stop the show and you got to go out there and ruffle some feathers, then go do it. I think too many of the track officials are a little reserved because they're like, well, it's okay, it's a youth full-size class, they're kind of learning. No, they got to learn. You got to go out there and yell in the kid's window and tell them to pick it up. Go yell in the window, you know. Or go to the other side where the coach is in the car. Yell at him. He's been yelled at before, I guarantee it.
And that's, you know, I was, like Casey mentioned, we were standing, him, Mark, and I were standing kind of in a group and talking back and forth, and I heard Casey mention, man, at one point I heard him say the word sandbagger or sandbagging. So, I mean, it, you know, Casey definitely had spoke to the kids about it, and then it was, you know, he said something about it during the show. But
I did. I went to a track official, and I told him, if you don't say something, I'm stealing your headset here in about 2 seconds.
I didn't hear that part. I just heard you say sandbagging. But
going back to, and you got to remember when these kids have all done a tremendous amount of work to get there. I mean, everybody can agree on that. Just having the gumption to show up on that stage and travel as far as some of these kids did.
Oh yeah.
There comes a point where you got to let them do their job on the track, and they were doing it. Maybe a little slower pace than we like to see, but they're running a stock car. And the wrong move can end their night.
Well, I think once they get a little bit more experience too, see
absolutely.
Once you see that frame dragging, or if you go into the prevent defense, you're going to be running cautious so that you don't lose, and somebody else is going to be able to take advantage of that and knock a wheel off.
And in my humble opinion, I think it's easier to have the aggression come out than it is to be not cautious, but a more accurate driver. I mean, you and I have been to a couple derbies over the years, and I mean, it's, a majority of people are the aggressors, and only a minority can say, okay, this is, I want to get this guy in this tire, and I want to get this guy here, and so I mean, I think as the kids get older, the aggression's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of these kids are 10 years old. I mean,
right.
Well, that's just it. And, you got to remember, if you start getting these kids too aggressive, then they can start making mistakes that could possibly, injure another driver.
Yep. Oh, exactly.
Et cetera. So you just got to be patient with them.
Yep. And that's,
and that's where, there was a lot of stuff going around about other classes and people's opinions, and if you want to have an aggressive opinion about certain things in classes where guys have been driving for 20 years, by all means, go give your opinion. But with this youth division, the next time we're at a track, I will guarantee you I will have a headset on.
Yeah.
So anybody listening can take that for what it's worth.
But and that's the thing, though, is it's I've said a million times, my favorite heats were the 70s wire, the 80s wire, and the relic. I mean, but I can also stand back and enjoy watching drivers drive. And I mean, I stood there watching those kids, and they were doing, they were driving smart. And I can respect that. I mean, I think anytime, and again, this is just my humble opinion, but I think anytime an adult has to bitch and complain about kids doing something, I mean, there's something kind of wrong there. And especially in today's world, where a majority of kids are inside playing PlayStation, or they're on Facebook or TikTok or God knows what other kind of garbage. So the fact that you had, a track full of kids out there doing that's, that makes me happy. You know what I mean? And not just as a derby guy, but as a dad. I mean, that was however many, young kids were out there, doing something physical. They were out there, working and thinking, and not just, being a couch potato. So, it annoys me that adults, but I mean, we see it everywhere. You go to a Little League baseball game, and it's the parents that are the jerks 9 times out of 10. So
it's always something, and everybody's going to have an opinion about things no matter what. But going back to me putting a headset on, we had 2 people out of our group, out of the SMW team, on the track with Smash It.
Yep.
And I had the choice to do that, but I didn't. And reason being, I don't have a lot of experience at being a track official. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I really will say I don't know what I'm doing to be on the track with a headset and a flag, because I haven't been seasoned at it. I haven't been exposed to it a lot. And I felt more comfortable having guys with that experience out there. So I gotta, not sound like I'm being too critical of the track officials. Yeah. I just think that, sometimes there's a time to step in and, be there for what you are, but for the most part, they did everything, as far as I could tell, just great. They know the show, they know what their realm of acceptable and not acceptable is, and I think they did a good job. And the kids, yeah, they're going to develop as they can, but like you said, Brian, I got halfway through that. I looked at that field of cars, and I think for the majority of the cars, they were still running a good portion into the show. And I just had a feeling come over me like, you know, this is truly amazing that these young people are out here doing this the way they're doing it. That was my thought. And, you know, without the parent support that helped get them there, the families that got the kids there, the promoters that were a part of it, I mean, it was just I had a great feeling in my heart for Demolition Derby watching that show. I really did.
Were you still doing the coaching on the sidelines? You know, when Brian's on the sidelines of the football games, he'll remember the things. He's told me different stories about a kid pulling something off in a game setting that they'd practiced in through the course of the week, and it worked out. Did you see somebody catch a wheel shot or make a quality hit that was something that you had talked about with one of those drivers at one of the training sessions that you've hosted over there at SMW?
Unfortunately, a lot of the kids I worked with weren't, you know, some of it advanced and some weren't there. Mm-hmm. But like you take Clayton Gregg, who, you know, won that the Iron City show for the first Youth Full Size, and he's had a little experience, you know, out in some other shows. And him and Jack Jovanovich Jr., when you watch them two stalking each other, and you know, you see these individual battles on the track. And when it got down towards the end, you know, these kids knew who the adversary was. Do you know what I mean? They knew, you know, they were picking a fight with the guy or like, you know, little freebie, you know, watching him, you know, he excels at some certain maneuvers, and he'll stay after it, stay focused, and he'll pick and pick and pick. And it just, you see it in a lot of the kids. And, you know, to pick some out and say that, you know, one specific kid excelled, it was very tough to do that day, because I'll tell you what, every kid that was on that track, I don't think there was too many that you would have thought never ran a show before. And half of that field were rookies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they certainly showed that they've got their driving chops.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
They've been paying attention since they were, you know, you can tell that they've been involved in Demolition Derby because it was second nature to them.
You know what else I liked about that is that in most cases, at least from what I was able to see in watching it, there was some coaching on the passenger side.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the kids were out there, and they could have done that without anybody in the car with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We did see one thing that we've never seen that I've personally never seen on a derby track before. Instead of a red flag for a fire, I think we had a red flag to retrieve the cell phone from one of the dads that had been.
Yeah, that would have been Dave Meyer.
Yeah.
It's funny. He was Facebook Live and that, tooling around, sitting in the passenger seat, and I told Mark Elliott, I said, I'm going to laugh my butt off when that phone gets blasted out the window.
And it did.
And it did. The only thing, and I'm not trying to, you know, wish anything on anybody, but for entertainment purposes only, the only thing that would have been better is if somebody would have ran it over.
Well, there was a red flag, and I couldn't see what was going on. And then I seen one of the officials walking up the track and hand him his phone back. And I was like, oh, all right, that makes sense. But
so I don't know if we need to start putting that in rules. I mean, you know, the young people know not to have cell phones in a car on the road. So maybe we need to start telling the parents, look, you know, for your own safety. But that was, I'm sure a lot of people got a good bird's eye view of a derby, you know, and
yep.
It was just that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it was. Sure. And I mean, and you know, the thing that I found cool too was, you know, because we were, like I mentioned last week, we were standing in front of the judges' tower, kind of out of anybody's way. But you could see the smiles on the dads' faces along with the kids when they pulled up next to the wall. And I mean, that's, you know, it's with all the garbage that's gone on for the last year, you know, it's good to see people just genuinely happy. You know? Oh,
yeah. I mean, there's, you know, whenever, you know, and I experienced it firsthand, when you get to share the track with your son or your daughter or whatever, I mean, it's a whole different feeling than when you go out there, to be able to, have that mutual fun together and even, the rest of the family cheering them on and being a part of it. I think it's just a good glue for the family of Demolition Derby, for the kids to be a part of it, and I've seen instances, honestly, through this program where, I've went through it, and there ain't too many guys that have ran for years to where at some point their significant other has not despised this sport because of the time it takes, okay? Yeah. And then you see now moms that are, that they could care less. Like, I mean, I'll be honest with you, my wife could probably care less watching me run, but when it comes to chance running or even these other moms, I mean, when their kids going on the track, they're 100% behind it, and it's all about them, Oh, yeah. And it's great. Yep. And like I said, it's some really good glue for the sport. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's if you look at Derby history, I mean, second generation, if you look back, I mean, there's a guy named Bobby Whitaker whose dad Wes, pretty good driver. Toby Hiley, his dad Randy, he's a pretty good driver. So I mean, imagine the level that these kids are going to be on when they've been doing it since they were 10, 11 years old. Sure. So it's just great to see. I mean, it's a great thing, and I know what you mean about the wife not being into Derby, and she my wife we've been together since high school, so. She would come to my games, wasn't all that excited, but man, she's, we've bonded around football. My oldest son he hasn't ran yet. I'm sure eventually he probably will, but, and I'm sure when that happens, my wife will be there and be excited. So, but you're right. It's good to see entire families there. We've seen it locally with the Gullies and the Benjamins and the Reliers and, Jake and Ian Doyle, and it's just cool to see, man. It keeps the families together.
Yeah, I mean, it is. There's a kid named Monty Treesh from Michigan, and he come through the inspection line, and I asked all the kids, I said, "Are you excited to be here?" And he goes, "You got no idea how long I waited for this. This is so awesome just to be here." That's amazing. And his dad was just, they were just so happy to make the memories, no matter win, lose, or draw or whatever. Yep. And that was worth its weight in gold. So definitely. But yeah, I mean, going back to everything, I mean, Hardcore Promotions has got youth programs, shows coming up. TJ McCullough, Dead Man's got a youth program. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Smash It's going to have it on the card at different places. And, I tell everybody, talk to your promoter, if you got interest in it. But be realistic when you bring it to the table. You got to make a program that works. Whether it be a street stock style build or whatever fits your geography. Yeah, sure. I got to tell everybody, to start putting these kids in weld cars and that. I think is one of the stupidest ideas on the planet. Point blank, start them out where they can start on these stock easy builds to where it's not stressing the bank book and the parents and turning your extra time into a dedication of just having to build. So
sure.
Awesome.
So, but yeah.
Well, you can jump online, smithmetalworks.info. You can get more information there. You can also look up Hardcore Demolition Derbies and Hardcore Promotions. They've got additional info on upcoming youth division shows. Casey, man, I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you wanted to hit on quick before we wrap up?
Just, I think everybody all the promoters seem to have a solid schedule, good events planned, and so far everybody's looking well supported out there, and the drivers are hitting the track, fans are back in the stands, and, we were, fortunate to have all the people that supported our products at Bash and, carried away our parts. It's been a blessing to have this sport support us as much as we can give back to it. Our Youth Derby Experience program, here at the end of the month, we'll be doing a class. We got some more openings scheduled for July and August, so, that information's on our website. And, we're just making parts, shipping parts, and working with as many people as we can in this sport to make it better each day. So,
Sounds good.
and I think you got the online event coming up.
Yes. Yep. We got the Crash Course Nationals is coming up in 2 weeks. We're looking forward to that. Big thanks out to Jeffy's Fab Farm, Smash It, Hardcore, and Smith Metal Works for jumping behind and giving some support to that. It's going to be cool. We use the rule book from Hardcore. And with the updates of everything, all the classes are pretty close to what Hardcore rules are.
Sweet.
So it's going to be pretty neat. Looking forward to it.
But I think as far as events go, this upcoming event at Roaring Knob for Hardcore is going to be really interesting. You know, and I'm not trying to stir the pot or give anything of what is or what ain't, but it just dawned on me looking at some things. You know, Hardcore has their 10K championship, and, you know, if you drive as a Hardcore driver and you finish in the top at various shows, you score points towards that show to get a free pass into the feature.
Right.
I believe this weekend is also a unified point series show.
It is, yes.
So you now have drivers scratching for points for unified, for Martic Elliott for the ME 527 unified series, and you got drivers on the same track doing what they can for that top three for the Hardcore points for the free pass to the feature. So you're going to have some determined people, and there's only one winner and a second and a third. So
Right.
take that for what it is, but I think it's a recipe for a very good show coming up this weekend. And plus they have that, I think that hobby stock team event. So that's going to be pretty good. So
There's a lot of good derbies. Casey's doing all the ad drops for us.
Yeah, he knows. He's a businessman. He knows.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll get to the Street Stock Madness was this weekend. We're going to jump into that a little bit here. We've got some results from that to dive into. Then Unified Points update and stuff, so we'll jump into that stuff. Casey, appreciate you setting the table for us. We'll rip through all that stuff for Hardcore and for the Unified Points series here now.
all right, enjoy your night, guys. Bye.
Appreciate it,
Have a
man.
good one.
See you later. That was good. It's nice to have somebody do a lead-in. That was cool. so Street Stock Madness was this weekend. That was that's the first order of business here. Of course, my phone timed out. Technology is just not.
Chris has had a rough
not
hour.
where it needs to be. It's been a challenging day. Steven Sickles came away with a win in the van side of things at Street Stock Madness on the 5th of June with Smash It Demolition Derby. Matthew Reed was second, and Brandon Pinkerton ended up taking home the Mad Dog Award. Front wheel drive Street Stock, Adam Ewing won that one over Steve Smith and David Thompson. Brandon Pinkerton won Mad Dog in that one as well. Rear wheel drive Street Stock, Seth Vickers getting the win over Jacob Bryant and Jeff Clifton. Mad Dog went to Jacob Bryant. Smash It mini class, Jordan Rutherford took the win there over Matthew Mullins and Danny Mullins. Pro Stocks, Josh Green over Luke Lovely and Levi Lovely. And then the rear wheel drive Street Stock, Ricky Duggins, Dan Rose, Robbie Crittenden, and Brad Wagers, the winning team. Zach Pryor, Jordan Pryor, Tim Lyon, and Andrew Ellinger, second on that team. And then the third place team, Jeff Arnold, Chad Arnold, Jeffy Arnold Jr., and Richard Arnold, the rundown there. So that concludes the special events for Smash It Demolition Derby early season stuff. They're going to move into their the regular fair schedule at this point. We'll start giving you the rundown on their fair stuff here. This event was part of the virtual or the Unified Point Series, and to give you an update on where that is. Steven Sickles now with that win, 46 points to his credit, and he is on top by 12 markers over Don Santel. Three-way tie for third. David King with 2 wins. Ricky Duggins, Dan Ruse bringing up the three-way tie for third place. You can stay up to date online. The Unified Series is online, 527unifiedseries.com. Up next, coming up on the 12th, is Hardcore's Destruction on the Knob in Markleysburg, Pennsylvania. Toast Bartholomew County Fair is on the 25th of June. The 26th is Routh Promotions Wayne County Fair in Portland, Indiana. July the 3rd, Independence Weekend. That's Toast Bartholomew County Fair in Columbus, Indiana. And then the 10th and the 17th is Buchanan, Edwards, Riverside Riots in Proctorville. July 26th and 30th is Ruts Fab, Butler County Fair in Hamilton, Ohio. Smash It's at Preble County Fair, July 31st and August the 7th. And then we start looking at the month of August after that. Again, stay updated online, 527unifiedseries.com. We just talked to Casey Smith about the youth classes. Additional information for the Demolition Derby Summer Camp is available on smithmetalworks.info. There's some additional openings available there as well. Smith Metalworks is an all-purpose fabrication shop that has taken the Northeast by storm. Smith Metalworks features more than 40 years of combined metalworking experience. The hallmark of the product line is the pointed and flat front bumpers, replicating popular factory releases. They can be stuffed or run hollow, and there's also a compact version of the pointed bumper. Other items include Crown Vic door skins, battery boxes, engine mounting systems, pedal combos, and shifters. The shop offers all the odds and ends, such as distributor clamps and weld-in centers. Be sure to ask about the GM floor liners. In-person locations are in Mercer, Uniontown, and in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Hardcore Tour was what Casey was making reference to there before he logged off. The HardcoreDerbyPromotions.com is the website. July the 12th is Destruction on the Knob in Markleysburg. That's coming up this weekend. June the 26th is Mayhem on the Mountain in Farmington, PA. Destruction on the Knob again on July the 10th. July 24th is King of the Hill at the Jacktown Fair. And July 29th, August 3rd, and 6th is Destruction in Dunbar. Again, if you can earn one of those Hellraiser awards, you get points, and that gives you the opportunity to punch your ticket directly into the feature of the final confrontation. Cass and Cole County at the Greene County Fair in Waynesburg is August 13th. The 14th and 20th is Washington War Zone. September 4th and 5th is Labor Day Lockdown in Stoneboro. Route 40 Rumble is the 7th and 8th of September in West Alexander. And then the 2021 Hardcore Championship, September 25th and 26th. $10,000 to win. Final confrontation in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. $3,000 Jeffy's Fab Farm Mad Dog Award waiting on the other side of that. Let's see. I think we've run through pretty much everything except for Jeffy's Fab Farm, recognized as an industry leader in all manner of purpose-built demolition derby parts, starting with rear ends in 06. Jeffy's Fab Farm expanded to headers in 2008, and the shop can boast a combined 70-plus years of mechanical skill. Jeffy's Fab Farm specializes in LS conversions and conversion components. With consistent feature wins across North America, your turnkey solution is just a phone call away. Jeffy's Fab Farm's Camry in the Box campaign sets you up for success with a retail price of $525, and you need to ask about the multi-fit shifter options. You'll also find fuel and air parts, suspension and transmission items, steering components, pedal switches, and gauges. If you need it, it's on the farm, jeffysfabfarm.com. So, there we are, having run through all of that stuff. Trying to keep up with everything that we've got to do here tonight. We gave you the update on Street Stock Madness. Road Rage was this weekend. You see Kyle Hunter picked up a Mad Dog Award. Wall Auto.
Jeremy Gully got a Mad Dog and Compact Team, I believe.
They did some work to put those cars back together here.
Brett Relier won the whatever class you call that. Mark Benjamin's third, Jordan Early. Mark Benjamin was second, Jordan Early was third, which is Dave Early's son.
21st birthday for him.
Yep, and it was his first time in the car by himself. So to finish third behind those two guys is pretty damn good. And yes, it's Jordan's birthday, 21st, which means Dave is getting old. So happy birthday. Nice runs to those guys out there.
Jordan Ingram had a birthday over the weekend. Happy birthday to Jordan. And Candace Joe had a birthday as well.
Somebody else had a birthday at Santa. I can't remember who it was.
Parker Lazenby checking in here. Parker, man, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good.
We're all right. Are you still nervous?
Oh, yeah. This is worse than the Derby.
Well, listen, we're just talking on the phone. There isn't even anybody listening, man. I wouldn't even worry about it.
No. I still get hit from New York. I can feel it.
We've talked and we've crossed paths, and you keep deferring until you finally break through that win. For that first win, it is a signature win, taking home the team victory at May Mania. Tell me how that weekend was.
The weekend was really good. It didn't start out really good. I'd say Thursday night before the show, I burned up a transmission, and so me and my teammate were kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what we needed to do. And before we changed out my transmission, he decided he wanted to put in a new stall converter in his tranny, and we burned up his transmission as well.
Oh.
So we actually went through, I think, 3 transmissions in one night, the night before the Derby, and didn't get both cars moving until about 1 in the morning. It was pretty stressful, but once we got to the track, that seemed like the easy part.
See, you got all your bad luck out of the way early, man. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, my teammate, he actually had a week-long vacation planned to Hawaii the Sunday after the Derby, and he was saying how it'd be pretty nice just to drop out now, and I had to keep telling him, like, hey, when there's shitty stuff like this, that usually means something good's going to happen. So that kind of helped when we pulled the transmission out 6 or 7 different times and put it back in the car. You know, it just got hysterical after a while.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it does. I've had not that close to shows, but I've had to change. Well, that's not true. The year I won Waterloo, we changed it Friday for Saturday, so that was not fun. But we got it done a little quicker than you guys had to.
Was that the cable shift car?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got pretty good at it.
Yeah, I bet. By the end of the night, you could do it. You could do it quick. That's crazy.
Man, it's something I don't want to relive.
I mean, was any of this stuff still in your mind when you're hearing extra knocks and tings and all sorts of different noises and stuff going through the car as the Derby played out?
Well, what was that? Sorry.
I mean, are you just waiting for the next shoe to fall at that point? You know, every knock or noise or whatever becomes a distraction because you're just waiting for something else to go wrong?
Yeah, we were wondering when my teammate's transmission was going to go out because we ended up having to pull one out of his Halloween Havoc car, and it was pretty worn, but it was the only transmission we had at the time, and so he made it through the heat, and man, he was sending it. Everywhere I looked, my teammate, Leighton Shepard, it looked like there was a dinner table with a limited amount of food, and every time I looked, he was full tracking somebody, and I felt like I almost couldn't get a seat at the table. But after the heat, I think he made it about a minute and a half in the main event, and his transmission went out.
That's all I needed. What junior teammates run for cars?
I was in a 73 Cadillac, and he was in a 76 Cadillac.
Nice.
I'm blanking on who you ran with now. I know it was in the post. It's actually in my notes someplace.
Leighton Shepard.
Right.
He's a no social media kind of guy.
Was it easier in a team feature not having anybody else out there because you could sort of stay invisible, or you didn't have to watch out for anybody and you could just run your own race?
I'd say in a way, yeah. Once I saw that he was out, because we were both driving pretty aggressive the first minute and a half, and once he was out, I kind of got a bunch of pressure on my shoulders, and knowing that I didn't have to worry about him or getting him unstuck, I could kind of drive the track and run my own race, and I think it did make it a lot easier, but it also made it easier to be focused on winning because I couldn't rely on him at that point, and so
sure.
At a team show, you kind of owe it to your teammate, whereas at Wasatch Wipeout, Sturrendirt's, big $120,000 purse show, that's my hometown, and I think any Derby guy in the nation would pretty much pray to have 30 to 35 out-of-state drivers show up to their hometown fair so they could have fresh people to hit.
Definitely.
So for the past 2 years, I've just been, building cars to throw haymakers at strangers, and so it was kind of weird to be focused on winning for once at this show.
Well, what'd you spend the money on?
I think my wife's listening. Shoot. We'll say savings account. We'll just go savings account.
Right on.
Good answer.
Right on. Yep. The problem is there's pictures of those novelty checks, so she knows exactly how much you made.
Yeah, I've made that mistake too. She knows the amount.
So is the check hanging in the shop and the trophies in the living room, or what?
Trophy. They do flags, and I've been begging to put it in the living room, but it's not happening. And
listen, I'm going to give you some advice. Remember, it's always easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. So the next time she leaves the house, just hang it up in the living room and then just say, "But look how good it looks," and then beg for forgiveness. Trust me.
I'll let you know how that goes.
All right, thanks, buddy. Blame it on me. It wouldn't be the first time someone's mad at me. It's all good. I got big shoulders. You can take it.
She'll love it. I know it.
So after Wasatch, what else you got planned for this year?
So I'm kind of stuck with this car. So since COVID canceled a bunch of shows last year, Stern Dirt let in like 14-bolt rear ends and steel bells just for May Mania, and the rest of their schedule, you either have to bring a fresh car or you can't have the steel bells and the 14 bolts. And the other shows that are in the state, they let Crown Vics tilt and run kickers and spindles and pull the body bolts and whatnot, and Old Iron can't run down bars to the frame or body bolts, so you're kind of donating an Old Iron if you go to those shows. So kind of looking to go out of state at this point. Don't know if Idaho or Montana, and just go have fun running out of town.
That's cool.
Wouldn't be so bad.
Nope.
Well, maybe once you get your schedule mapped out, we'll be doing this again. You won't be so nervous.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys did interviews for Hard Luck Awards. That'll be fun. We'll see if
What now?
see if I can pull something.
Oh,
What was
I didn't quite follow where you were going with that. I thought I didn't.
Oh, I was saying I didn't know you guys gave interviews for the guy that gets the Hard Luck Award.
Yeah. The hardest wins the first one, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Came on a big stage. Now they just fall like dominoes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that too loud. It's
All the pressure's off now.
at some point.
You just go have fun.
Yeah, pressure's off. That's for sure. That's for dang sure.
Chris is checking the computer to make sure everything's still working.
It's just it is a rocky evening. There's just not one thing that I would describe as smooth yet tonight.
Except this interview with Parker. He's done amazing.
Yes,
Great job.
You're fantastic. You're natural. We'll have you on next week. What was the response to getting the steel bells and the 14 bolts and stuff? Because it seemed like there was a little bit of momentum for that the last time I was out there, to the extent where there was some discussion that Stern Dirt was essentially going to have like a trailer where you'd be able to get some access to that. And there was a welding company, and I'm blanking on their name, who was beginning to break into that market as well and build stuff locally. So if you did buy some of that different bolt-on equipment that's more popular here on the East Coast and in Central America, it didn't have to go over the Rocky Mountains in order to get there.
I'm not sure what the change is for. I mean, I kind of like the change of scaling back to stock. It makes it a little bit easier, but yeah, for sure, things like 14 bolts, you can figure pretty much anyone can buy one of those pretty cheap.
There was a show locally, I don't remember where it was, that would allow you to run a Postal Mopar, but you couldn't run a full floater or something.
That makes
to
no
that effect.
sense.
There was some bizarre twist of the rules, and I don't remember where it was, but you couldn't run a rear end that you get at a junkyard out of an old scrapped ambulance or van, but you could run a Postal Mopar.
Yeah, that's crazy. I from the time we went out, or I went out, and just watching shows from Utah, those tracks are so big and the speeds. Like, I wouldn't think you'd want a car. I mean, I can understand a good rear end and stuff, but I wouldn't think you'd want a car that was built all that hard, because at the speed they're going and the way these guys hit, it's the cars have been given. You don't want the drivers to be the ones that are taking the big shots in those cars. I mean, it's that's one thing I always liked about Utah is the cars were junk at the end of the night because they weren't heavily built. They were they were bananas when they got down to them, and I always thought that was cool. So I would definitely be more of a fan of seeing the more stock builds out there.
And I feel like I don't overthink a stock build as much as trying to get pressure in certain places.
Sure. Yep.
And focus on the driving a little more.
Yep.
Are the Vics that you're talking about with all the kickers and stuff, I mean, it seems like they almost have to embrace that pressuring idea, and as a result, are you seeing a lot of broken transmissions?
You definitely see a lot of weirder stuff get bent at those shows with the kickered Vics. I mean, you'd almost think the car is plated front to back, and there's still stuff that just blows your mind that bends. So you almost wonder if it's worth all that work.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, no matter we've talked about it a bunch. No matter how hard you make a car, there's always a weakest point, and that's always what's going to break. I mean, you make one thing stronger, the next thing is weaker. So you make that stronger than the next thing. It doesn't, it's.
Would you go so far as to say that it could be a potential chain reaction?
It could be a potential chain reaction, without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, it's always going to be. There's always going to be a weakest part, and that's always what's going to break. It doesn't. And it's like when they first started breaking engine blocks. Well, you're using it to make a car stronger and tougher. And all it is cast. Something's going to give, and it's going to be the cast before the plate steel. So, it's sometimes derby is its own worst enemy, and that's in many different forms. But
that's a multi-headed monster right there, for sure. Well,
absolutely.
Parker, is there anybody that you want to make mention of that helped make it happen? I know with 3 transmissions going in and out of the cars, there's a transmission builder that you probably want to make mention of, because defying the odds and persevering through all that stuff, and you had that piece stay underneath you for the balance of that feature running solo. The one that you put in was a good one.
Yeah, the one that was in it was a Punisher, and I think the ones that we burned up were Punishers, but I think it was on our error. We had a transmission cooler that kind of blocked the fluid from pumping, so we figured that's what was burning them up.
Sure,
that's not
so fast. But I'd really like to thank Jared and Jackson and Scott Johnson here in Delta where I live. They opened up their shop to me. I just moved out this way about a year ago, and Jackson and Jared, if you follow those guys on Facebook, I mean, they're just barely in high school and barely out of high school, and they build better stuff than guys that have derbied for 20 years. So they always motivate me to do better, and just wanted to thank Jordan Luke and Bowen Shields for all their help at the track. I definitely couldn't have done it without them after changing transmissions all night.
Excellent.
Yeah, had to be a little tired, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, my legs are, after the derby, I was more sore in my legs than I was anything else, and that was just leaning over the car, turning the motor, and leaning over the dash bar and doing the bolts for the tranny.
Yep.
So sore.
No doubt.
We're walking again. We'll be all right.
Excellent. Well, again, congratulations on the win. Very happy, very proud of you. Well done, and I look forward to the next one, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a good night.
Of
have
course.
A good one.
Have a good night. There goes Parker Lazenby celebrating a win at May Mania out there in Utah last weekend. Some other results from last weekend. Will Steinbeck with Making Impact Performance. They ran the 90s class on Saturday last weekend. Logan Wensky won there. Cade Braceland won in another one of those same classes and got Mad Dog to go with his first place. Bone Stock Travis Lehman took the win there. Mike and Brooke Kamler took second place. Kane and Tessa Cranmore, they got third place, and they got a Mad Dog award. Kane and Tessa Cranmore got the Hammered award as well. The Shafted award went to Dakota Fitzgerald on the limited weld side of things. Nick Jacobitz took first place over Brad Lair, Larry Steinbeck, Matt Hurt, Josh Slazowski, and Reed Steinbeck back through 6. Larry Steinbeck coming away with the Mad Dog Award. Cat Customs Award was Matt Hurt. Anthony got the Postal Mopar Award, and then the Jaguar Machine Award was Josh Bodenis there. Over the weekend, this weekend, the T-Bone Memorial was over the weekend. Tyler Ford and Scott Shippers came away with the win. Back-to-back T-Bone Memorial wins for those two, and the third time that they won it together. That was pretty cool. And I don't know if you noticed, but Tyler Ford had the Chad Drager number on the roof, and so that was a special thing for them. GCM starting the season off right. Time to keep it rolling. So good win for Tyler Ford and for Scott Shippers. Let's see. I know we had more stuff that we wanted to get to. I lost it. There we go. Brandon Thomas. They had their first event, the Spring of Destruction show, up in Minnesota, heading into Cass and Clearwater, June 25th and 26th. There's a few spots left there. $5,000 to win. Stock car weld heat. Limited Weld Trucks. Tony Carlson took the win over Matt Rosso and Matt Molitor. He got the hardest hitter award. Craig Peters was fourth in the minivans. Kyle Bathke won first. Albert Fisher was second. Cole Abraham, hardest hitter award in third place. Weld cars, Joseph Painshaub, first place, and a Mad Dog award there for him. Eli Hickman was second. Brett Nelson was third. Compacts, Tyler Ray Schaefer got the win over Corbin Stanke and Jacob Johnson. Colton Hewitt was fourth. Travis Schneider was the Mad Dog there, and that again was Full Throttle Promotions event, Spring of Destruction up there in Minnesota. So we've got that squared away. Let's see, what else did we miss? We got Unified Points Update. We did Street Stock Madness. We did Parker Road Rage, Border Wars. We're going to be talking with Josh Turner here in just a minute. Once again, if you're paying attention here locally, one of the biggest shows of the spring is right around the corner next weekend. Mini Meltdown is on deck. I know everybody's looking forward to that. Heat draws are scheduled for Friday with Spinning Wheels. Jeremy Gully was making some posts. He's got some additional news to share on that front as well. So I know everybody's looking forward to that. Oh, man. There's Josh's number. We're going to be done with this. And we're going to go here.
Chris is busy dialing. He's I walked in at like 5:30 and nothing was working, so Chris has done an amazing job of getting things up and going as usual. So a little frazzled. He looks even more hot and sweaty than I do because he's thinking.
These lights are hot.
Yeah, we're gonna start doing it in the dark.
Josh, it's Chris. How are you? Can I put you in? Doing okay. I'm very excited. Josh Turner joining us online. Josh is out there. It was excellent to see you pull down the win at the Border Wars in Nebraska, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Did you guys run out of paint? Because you guys didn't have the splatter colors on the cars this year.
Yeah, right. That's kind of funny. We actually have kind of gotten tired of that a little bit, tired of getting all over the shop and on the floors and kind of making a mess. So,
well, Border Wars was it was an outstanding show. A friend of mine from a long time ago, from back in the building the models cars and stuff, had one of the coolest Basset Hounds on the planet. Justin Propp coming away with the win in the 80s Hobo class. That was cool. Brendan Boardman second. Raffle car was Kenny Rosno third place. Dalton Wortman and Austin Stamner coming away with third, and then Ryan Parsons there with fifth place. Cordell Bittmore, Zach Harris, Lance Forney. There's some popular names there. Compact Hobo, Michael Clemens got the win over Colby Rowland, Chad Beamer, Andrew Norton, Logan McKean, Steve Snyderman. The final field, Josh Turner over Creighton DeMuth, Greg Brandel, Jason Abel, Matt Ertman. Trey Hewer was up there, Trey Hammond, Jacob Prusman. It was a heck of a show.
Wow, there's some big names in that feature.
Yeah, it was.
Holy cow.
It certainly wasn't an easy feature when you look at that Border Wars rundown. And Nebraska, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top spots. Josh, tell me a little bit about that feature.
It was a very good feature. Good action, good fast pace. Obviously, Nebraska done really well through the heat races. We were able to get pretty much a car every heat race into the feature, if not maybe two cars, a couple of heats, and then of course heat number 6 was probably the turning event. We were able to get several cars out of heat 6, into the final, and kind of got some numbers. And of course we were wanted to represent. It was in our home state. We wanted to do well. We wanted to kind of show the nation that Nebraska can derby too. So we were excited to represent and do well for Nebraska.
It was really interesting the way that all played out. 25-car feature, 12 in Nebraska, 5 Iowa, 6 Missouri, 1 Kansas, and 1 Minnesota. And there was some bonus money for the winning states, right?
Yeah, correct. So the way it worked out, if the winning car from whatever state they were from, they actually won everyone in their state a bonus check of $1,000. So it was a great twist. It was an interesting twist. Something I had never been a part of before, so it was intriguing. If you maybe had a problem with your car was starting to fade and go away on you, maybe you send it and try to get rid of a good car or something, and see if maybe someone else from your state can go on to get you the victory and get you that bonus check. So
So you must have had a lot of the Nebraska fans cheering you out in that feature when I got down towards the end.
Yeah, you bet. It was, obviously I was in the car, I didn't get to hear it, but they claimed during the two-car rollover right at the end, I had taken Brando in the back, and he had slammed into Abel in the side, and the two went up on their sides and up on top of each other, and of course they red flagged the race and stopped it, and I don't know, I didn't get to really hear it, but the crowd was going nuts. Crowds love to see them rollovers. They love to see big hits at the end, and then they claim they were cheering "Go Big Red," so that's
awesome.
Pretty famous chant here in Nebraska, with the Husker football and whatever else. So when the crowd started doing that, I guess the place erupted, and it was pretty awesome feeling and pretty awesome atmosphere. So, like I said, I didn't really hear it much, but the guys were kind of talking about it afterwards. We were having some beers, and they were discussing it. It was pretty cool. So definitely fun to be a part of that.
For sure.
It's interesting, trying to bring people from the same state together, because we can start listing off some people in New York or Pennsylvania or Minnesota and Iowa. Come to think about it, maybe
Kansas either.
That probably wouldn't be that inclined to work with each other. No. But boy, can $1,000 makes a temporary Band-Aid, right?
Yeah, you ain't kidding. It's amazing. $1,000 will make mortal enemies friends for at least a night. So. But that's a very cool twist to the whole deal. That's very neat.
Yeah, I mean, even with that said, I think there was probably, a strong 10 to go, maybe even 12 to go yet. And, some of the Nebraska guys started kind of biting on each other a little bit. I had one individual kind of turn against me a little bit, and it's just a past grudge, and I think he thought if I didn't get some damage that he was going to, not be able to get it at the end. So, I mean, I was kind of a little bit caught off guard or surprised by it, but it's all part of it. You just kind of got to deal with it as it comes. And I thought, well, I guess we're going to start derbying. So that's just how it is. So,
what happened to Shad?
He got a tie rod right away, and then the show didn't allow for loaded control arms. Had to run stock control arms, just kind of a Rob Baker thing. And so then he got a couple control arms, and the rear end was walking back and forth and growling and grinding, chewing up floor tin with the drive shaft, and he got himself against the dirt bank, and that was kind of the end of it. He just couldn't steer to get out of there. I gave him a signal once, thought maybe I'd go in there and knock him free, and he kind of waved me off like, go get the victory, get me $1,000 out of there. So, I think it was just kind of one of them deals. So that was fairly early on when he lost that, and he's always a blast at the end because, man, he'll send it. He's got the famous ESPN rollover hit from Midwest Smash Fest, where he rolled the two guys over the bank completely. So it's always fun to have him at the end, and he'll be there again.
So I'm just leafing through the document that was sent to us. Was all broken down. The entry list represented by state.
Mm-hmm.
So Nebraska, Jason Abel, Grant Snyder, Creighton DeMuth, Blake Hall, Sean Vrana, Charlie Fox, Josh and Shad Turner, Zach Anderson. So then we jump down to Missouri. Craig McCracken, Corey Ludington, Teddy Papadopoulos, Junior Cardwell, Jeremy Baker, Trey Hewer, Lane Baker, Rob Ewer, Aaron McNeely, Eric McNeely. I mean, the lineup is just crazy.
That's an awesome derby. There's a lot of drivers there.
It's very, very good. CJ Holmberg was there. This is the Kansas list. Michael Maxton, Blake Thompson, Ian Smith, Dylan Kepner, Minnesota, Matt Ertman, Chance Langford, Iowa's a pretty long list too. Isaac Wall, Mike Roseboom, Jacob Prusman, Tanner Evans, Ben Plate, Tim Lang. I mean, it's just nuts when you look at the rundown there. So that incentive to be the winning state, certainly it paid off. Tell me a little bit about the feature itself from your perspective, with having that guy sort of turning his attention to you a little bit there at the end and making the derby a bit more, adding another layer to the onion, so to say. Was there a point where you thought that it was gonna go your way, or at least go Nebraska's way?
There was a red flag. I don't know, probably maybe 8 cars to go. And I'll be honest with you, I honestly didn't want to hit Nebraska cars yet. I really wanted to make sure that we could get to the end, and during that red flag, I thought, well, I said, I know there's pretty good activity at that other end. I think I'm going to go dive into it. At least if I go down, I'm going to go down swinging, hitting other states, and not hit a Nebraska car. At least that was my answer to the situation. And so I kind of dived into the other end and just was focusing on using my car on the other states and just trying my hardest to make sure Nebraska got what they wanted. So
Oskaloosa was streamed by Derby Tees, so you can go back on demand and watch that. This one here was streamed by Track Shot, correct? That was available online as well?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so you can go catch up on all that action on demand as well through Track Shot Live.
I tell you, know what the most nerve-wracking part of this whole show was is how Rob's really. I think he's changing it, guys. I think he's changing the way you do heat draws.
Go on.
The heat draws, you literally do not know who's in your heat. He draws your name, you get in your car, you drive on the track. And you don't know who's coming out to the track next. There's no buddy system. There's no partners. There's no, hey, let's make an alliance or let's work together. You literally drive out there and you're like, oh, okay, I got him and him and him, So you definitely kind of got to fight your own battles and pick your own battles. And then, you always have the mutual respect angle of it where you're like, okay, I'll deal with him later, but definitely was an interesting twist. They said they did it last year for the team show he put on in Nebraska, and it was a huge hit, and I'd say it was a huge hit again. But definitely the most nerve-wracking I've ever been for a heat draw. I drew the first heat, and I believe my brother drew the fourth or fifth heat. Can't quite remember now, but my brother said, he goes, man, was that intense. He goes, you're looking at what's left for cars, and you're thinking, oh, man, this is going to get good. And so it was just a great angle. It kind of eliminates some of the team driving. I know there's a team aspect to it with trying to work with your state, but it might be something people catch on to. Really, it kind of took some politicking out of it, so it's kind of interesting.
How did you, obviously you qualified through your heat. Did you have much to fix, or was your car in pretty decent shape after your heat?
We had, normal wagon, just had some quarter panel work and some number 9 work. We were in good shape. The rest of it worked good. Had a little stumble out of the carburetor in the heat. Just don't know if I had a weak moment and didn't quite tweak on it right, but we got that fixed in the pits before the final, and she run like we wanted to in the final. Didn't have any problems then. So
did your brother have a wagon too?
What's that?
Did your brother run a wagon as well?
No, he didn't. He took a third window Buick Electra. It was a used car. That was another twist of the show. You could bring a used car, and we kind of talked about it. We almost built him a wagon. That's where we're most comfortable. That's our favorite cars. We love them cars. 2 weeks ago, we'd run a big team show down for Chad Markley down in Kansas. We run King of the Ring Kansas, and we just felt a little pressed on time and a little concerned about getting done. Doing 2 big national type shows back to back, 2 weeks apart, was a little tough on us. That was a different angle for us too. We hadn't done that before, and so we just got a little concerned on time. So we decided to fix a third window Electra he had, and that was kind of our game plan all along. But we did have a serious conversation about the second night after King of the Ring Kansas about shoving in a roundy and getting started on it for him. We had a couple friends that offered to take a couple of vacation days of work and come down and help. Buddha and Adam were both talking about, hey, you want to do it, we're in, we'll come help. So I don't know, hindsight, maybe we should have. Him breaking that control arm on the rear end and stuff, maybe he'd have been more comfortable in a wagon. But you never know. It is what it is. We did all right, so we were content.
How many wagons would you say, an estimate, there is in the Turner collection at the moment?
Well, there's one less now because it's pretty used up. But we have a few. Yeah, we definitely pride ourselves on them wagons. So it's kind of a old mentality. Just if I can, I'm so comfortable. I get in a Ford and I can grab both doors, and I almost get paranoid in there. Especially when it gets all caved in. I'm a bigger guy, and I'd just much rather be in a wagon and just sending them frame rails into things. So.
Yep. Now you and your brother ran Capital City Carnage 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep, you bet. Correct.
That was the second one, right?
And your dad actually sat in front of us when we were in the booth.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
we got
gosh,
to
there
talk to him, and your dad is in the Nebraska Demolition Derby Hall of Fame, correct?
He is, and he's very proud of that. And we reference him as the old timer. So if you see him, you got to call him the old timer. But there's a good story to that nickname as well. But
somebody
yeah,
there was a
proud of
group
that.
of guys there, and that's what they told us to call him. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. So I just called him Mr. Turner. But we got to talk with him for a few minutes. It was pretty cool. He's definitely proud of you and your brother. So it's it's good to see the family aspect there.
Yeah, you bet. He comes to every one of our derbies, and these last few years, my brother and I've started to stay more away from the county fairs and the local stuff, and really drifted towards the bigger national events, and try to, I don't get much joy out of winning a 10-car county fair. I'd much rather go try to compete at a high level, and sometimes you only get a top 10 finish, but you just fun to compete at the bigger shows and see what you can do and where you stack the cards up at. And then my dad, he always says, well, what's so wrong with going to Hastings, boys? And, of course, Hastings is just 45 minutes away. And we sign up and we go run, Montana or Utah or Kansas or Iowa or, wherever. And he's like, well, now we got to get hotels, And so it's always kind of fun to, as he gets older, he's less apt to want to travel. And so he's kind of starting to fade a little bit, but it's fun to listen to him kind of complain about hotels. So
out here, we grow a lot of apples. So I know where you live, it's not necessarily apple country, it's more corn. But we talk about the maturation process of an apple tree. You plant the tree, it takes about 3 years before it'll bear fruit, and then maybe 2 or 3 years after that before it hits peak. So when you plant a round-back tree, how long... Is it still easy to find roundbacks? I mean, you guys seemingly never run out, and
it's tough. It's really tough. And of course, the prices is high, and they make more money. They don't make more roundbacks, so every year they go up in value, and they're tough. They're tough to find. Every once in a while we'll find one here or there, but for the most part, here recently we've been buying them off other derby guys or guys who are ready to retire or kind of winding down their career. And of course, you're paying a premium, then you got to kind of think twice before you take it to a show. You want to make sure that you're at least got a chance to somewhat cover the cost of the car. So
right.
Yeah, it's amazing. You get out west, and there's some guys that have some big roundback collections, but they're like you said, they're definitely not cheap anymore. So
yeah, you bet. Obviously, it's a highly sought after car. So
for sure. Well, what else is on deck for this year?
Well, I am, going to be a part of the Utah show, the Wasatch Wipeout, the big money show out there. There's no secrets there. The driver's list is out. My name's on there. So that's the next animal coming in the shop. So whole different build there too. So we got to get started on that, get figured out how that's going to play out. So that's kind of the target right now. And then there's some shows to the south, and there's a couple shows to the east that we're eyeballing too that got kind of bigger purses, bigger money. I'm not sure that they're quite going to be considered national type events, but I think for mid to late summer where there's just so many events, they'll be plenty big enough. And so we'll probably keep an eye on some of them and figure out a few things. Got several used cars now laying around after running so many big shows here. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with some of these used cars, that's for sure.
Yeah. Get them used up.
Yeah.
Make Priuses out of them.
Yeah, you don't want to scrap them.
right, and that's the truth. You hate to cut apart a good car, that's for sure.
Yep.
Well, Josh, is there anybody that you want to make mention of here before we let you go? I mean, you're certainly putting on the miles here in 2021.
Yeah, you bet. There's always tons of people to thank, and along the way, after so many years of doing this, and it's kind of for me, this derby was a feel good. I don't know if using the word bucket list thing is appropriate or not, but I grew up as a kid going over to Dell, Iowa, watching Rob Baker shows, dreaming of the day I could win a Rob Baker show, and call it what you want. But I'm pretty honored to have this one in my list. I'm pretty honored to have the trophy in the basement, and so it felt real good to get this win. I've got a lot of top 5, top 10 finishes at numerous promoter shows, and I just really proud of this one. Felt good to win it. Obviously, I want to thank my wife She tolerates a lot. She puts up a lot, as all derby wives would know. There's a lot of nights gone, and there's a lot of have supper, put the kids to bed, and then go to the shop, and the wife looks at you like, are you crazy? You know, so obviously I thank my brother. My brother a lot of times is quiet, don't say too much, but he's kind of the mastermind behind some of these builds we put together. He definitely will put the hours in the shop. He's not afraid to do that. Of course, Dad, he's the reason we do this in the first place, you know, from the 60s and 70s when they ran the motors that came in the cars and just wired and chained things together. And if you moved the battery in the fuel tank, you were Uptown Brown. You were doing the right thing, you know. And then obviously last but not least, the guys that do still come around are the guys that do still help out the shop, you know, Grant and BC and Buddha and the Hafer brothers. They don't come every night. They don't come all the time, but when they do come, we sure do appreciate it. And they do put some hours in, and they definitely show up race day. You know, we show up, we're tired, we're wore out. Last thing we want to do is weld on the car more or fix or wire or chain or whatever. And them guys are kind of Johnny on the spot, and they jump on it, and they're like, hey, go get some water. We got this, you know. So that's just real handy. And of course, just the friendships you make over the way from other drivers, other states, other people. It's just super awesome when people get along and respect each other. And win, lose, or draw at the end of the day, you just get out and say, you know what, either you thump my ass or you, hey, you kicked my ass this time. It's always good to enjoy that and be a part of it. So
awesome.
Pretty cool.
Very good. Yep. Spinning wheels, heat draws are Friday. The Derby is the 19th and 20th. I don't know if I was wrong on that.
No, you said that.
Okay, good. I'm not sure if the words are just not making sense or if it's heat stroke.
Could be heat stroke. It's a little warm in here.
Sun. Well, Josh, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Glad we were able to reconnect again. Always good to catch up with you. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the season, and please make sure you travel safe.
Yeah, you bet. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. And like I said, if you run into my dad, you always got to give yourself 5 minutes because you always got to sit down and talk to him. He's definitely the character of our group, and he just loves to talk derbies. And it might only been a 1 pound fish the night he caught it, but boy, by now it's about 100 pound fish. And he's got some stories. They're just fantastic. So I've heard them so many times that I don't know what's true anymore. I don't know if the original story's even true anymore. So it's always good to catch up with him. So hope that brings some humor to some people who've talked to him over the years.
Awesome.
That's great.
Well, we sure do appreciate you coming on the show. Take care of the old timer, and I look forward to catching up with some conversations with him too before the end of the year. Hopefully we get to see you.
You bet. Are you guys going to be down at Blizzard Bash? Is that on the target this year?
I
know it's pretty early.
It's on the target. Well, it's on the
to-do
dartboard,
list,
so to say. It's on the to-do list, I guess is the best way to say it. Yep.
Yeah, we know about them to-do lists, right? The guy just wads them up and throws them away and starts over when you get overwhelmed by them.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, guys. Sounds good. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one,
Thanks
bud.
a lot.
Yeah. Have a good evening, guys.
See you now. There goes Josh Turner, capping another busy show. I guess we really can't say anything about how Derby season is upon us because at this point it's June, so we're looking at county fairs and stuff.
Did everything go out over the air as it was supposed to tonight?
Well, Lee Sager threw some eyes on it, and he took a look, and he didn't say anything about it being bad. And then he went on his way because he's got to go to work.
Yeah, he's busy.
Jeffy Schumann said Casey for president, and he said that 45 minutes ago. Frankie Guy was in there 45 minutes ago. Tommy Woodbury. I wasn't as busy on the chat as I usually am, and 8 minutes ago, Rob Oswalt sent some stars and asked how it was going. So looking at the timestamps, it appears that everything went the way that it was supposed to. It's just I'm not allowed to post on any of my pages anymore.
Maybe you get that fixed by next week.
I'm trying. I sent some support tickets in. I don't know what I need to fix. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what.
Let's call it a night. You can fix it. We'll get out of this sauna.
Yeah. Well, I think we can probably do that. That's gonna do it for this one. Busy show tonight. Thanks for sticking with us. We're gonna go shut the lights off and try and get the temperature below the boiling point. We'll see you guys next time. The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.